this right here. Lin Dunn.
And when I go into an environment, when I go to evaluate a player or coach or whatever, I want to see, hear, and feel that culture. And so I think about sometimes culture is kind of like you have to plant it, you have to grow it, and you have to maintain it. And it's a little bit like a garden. Sometimes you have to weed it. You may have some problems with some weeds taking over your culture, and you have to plop them out and pick them out and let them go.
That's not a hypothetical discussion. That's not some academic panel about team-building philosophy. That's Lin Dunn, president of the Indiana Fever, publicly laying the groundwork to trade Caitlin Clark. Listen to the language. Sometimes you have to pluck them out and let them go because of behavior issues. She's not talking about roster cuts. She's talking about star players who don't fit the culture.
Sometimes you got to plop them out, pick them out, and let them go. The smear campaign on Caitlin Clark started the second she defended herself in this whole Stephanie White situation. That's when the smear campaign started, y'all. You got to pay attention here.
And that's probably the toughest thing is when you have to let a player go or trade a player or cut a player because they don't fit into your culture that you've created. And it all goes back to behavior.
It all goes back to behavior. The toughest thing is when you got to trade a player, cut a player, and it all goes back to behavior.
Behavior. That word just came up 3 times in 30 seconds. Not performance, not defensive struggles, not shooting efficiency, behavior. And if you've been paying attention to the media campaign that started the moment Caitlin defended herself during the Stephanie White hiring situation, you know exactly what behavior they're referencing. Dan Dakich didn't call her a diva out of nowhere. Michael Thompson didn't randomly mention that the Fever are sick of Caitlin Clark without someone feeding him that narrative. This is coordinated.
She's toxic. Her fans are her behavior is what they've been. This smear campaign has been going on about. It's Caitlin Clark's behavior. And now you see what Lin Dunn had to say. Lin Dunn is planting the seeds in the ground to trade Caitlin Clark. Not only that, we have Michael Thompson, NBA legend, the father of Klay Thompson. Yeah, I hear the Fever are sick of Caitlin Clark. Y'all hearing that too? It's not coming out of nowhere. So think about this. Lin Dunn joins this panel, right? That nobody even knows where this channel is for real.
Now here's what makes this particularly calculated. Lin Dunn didn't go on ESPN for this interview. She didn't sit down with a major WNBA media outlet. She joined an obscure panel that most people will never see, speaking to an audience of coaches and executives. This is insider communication. She's signaling to other front offices, Caitlin Clark is available, and we're framing it as a culture problem, not a basketball problem. That makes her tradable without the Fever looking incompetent for giving up a generational talent. The timing matters too. This panel happened after Caitlin's best statistical season in WNBA history. 20 points and 9 assists per game, Rookie of the Year, all WNBA first team. She dragged a lottery team to the playoffs and sold out arenas across the league. And Lin Dunn is talking about weeding the garden.
She joins this panel and is talking about getting rid of a player amid in behavioral issues and things like that. The Indiana Fever aren't built for Caitlin Clark. We've said all along, it seems like this team is being built to be better without her. And now you got Corey Close, head coach, UCLA national champion, who also coached Caitlin Clark in the past. Speaking about Caitlin Clark. Now, hear the difference from when Lin Dunn and Stephanie White and all these people speak about Caitlin Clark versus when Corey Close does it.
Yeah, in the league before at all. And we now, so was that an assist. Why
still take place. But I want to go back real quickly to what you said, Sarah. I think that if you're going to invest, if you're going to invest one way, you have to have the whole organization level up. Publicists, but I would also say marketing. I would also say in-game experience. I would, all of those things have to come together. Otherwise, it's really going to be a poor stewardship of that. And I think we're seeing that more and more, which I think is very important. And your stat about, the isolations. I mean, that's what you do. You find your right matchup. You see it in, in almost every sport. And so, there's schemes to respond to that. That is not her strong suit. It never has been. This is not a new thing, right? This is not like all of a sudden we're going to ask her to get better at her defense. But she does so many other things at such an elite level. You're scheming to how to cover up that other part.
You know, I look at this from...
You're scheming to how to cover up that other part.
Pay attention to who else is speaking up right now. Corey Close, the UCLA head coach who coached Caitlin during USA basketball summers, suddenly appears on a panel discussing her weaknesses, not her strengths, her weaknesses. He talks about her defense, her decision-making under pressure, how when you use a strength too much it becomes a weakness. That's coaching speak for, she's talented but needs the right system. And where does Corey Close coach? Los Angeles. Where's the only WNBA team with cap space, draft capital, and a desperate need for a franchise player? The LA Sparks. Where's the one market big enough to absorb the media circus and corporate partnerships that follow Caitlin? Los Angeles. This isn't coincidence. Corey Close might be tired of college recruiting and NIL chaos. A WNBA head coaching job with Caitlin Clark, a player he's already coached, in the second biggest media market in America. That's the golden ticket out of college basketball.
Now, we saw the Indiana Fever finally do some of that recently in the Atlanta Dream game, but what took so long, I don't think this is a coincidence that you got Michael Thompson saying what he's saying, you got Lin Dunn saying what she's saying, you got Corey Close, who might be done and tired of the college recruiting in NIL. She might be looking for a WNBA job, and it might come with the LA Sparks when Caitlin Clark arrives. She coached her before. Take a listen to this.
That was not there the first couple years.
But here's the part that should terrify Fever fans. Look at how Indiana has constructed this roster. They drafted 2 post players in the lottery when they already had Aaliyah Boston. They hired Stephanie White, whose offensive system revolves around pace and space with multiple ball handlers, then surrounded Caitlin with players who can't shoot. They've made exactly 0 moves to maximize her strengths. It's almost like they've been building a team that works better without her. A team where Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston can operate without the media attention and fan expectations that come with Caitlin. A team that can win 25 games, make the playoffs, and avoid the circus.
Sure, and you have to plop them out and pick them out and let them go. And that's probably the toughest thing is when you have to let a player go or trade a player or cut a player because they don't fit into your culture that you've created. And it all goes back to behavior.
This whole smear campaign hasn't been about, it's been beyond, Caitlin Clark can't play defense. It's been beyond that. This smear campaign has been about Caitlin Clark's personality, her behavior. They're saying she's a loose cannon. She's nuts. She's not mentally stable. She's crazy.
Now go back and watch Lin Dunn's body language in that panel. She's not uncomfortable discussing this. She's not hesitant. She's matter-of-fact about cutting star players for culture reasons. She's done it before, and she'll do it again. That's the message. And the media campaign against Caitlin has been relentless since she pushed back on the Stephanie White hire. Suddenly she's a diva. She's difficult. She's bad for team chemistry. She complains to refs too much. Her fans are toxic. None of this was the dominant narrative during the season when she was filling arenas and breaking viewership records. This started the moment she showed independence. Dan Dakich went on air and called her a problem, not just a defensive liability, a problem. He said she takes bad shots, sure, but then he called her behavior into question, used words like brat, and suggested Stephanie White's system is perfect and Caitlin just won't buy in. Where did he get that framing? Someone close to the organization fed him that narrative.
And oh man, Lin Dunn can't stop. Lin Dunn is out in the public planting the seeds that she's trading Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark 100% will get traded away from the Indiana Fever before Stephanie White gets moved. That is what Lin Dunn is going out and doing. Lin Dunn did an interview where she joined a panel, and my, oh my, this is big, big news.
Michael Thompson, NBA champion and Klay Thompson's father, suddenly knows that the Fever are sick of Caitlin Clark. How does Michael Thompson have inside information about WNBA front office sentiment? Because someone told him. Someone wants that information circulating in basketball circles. Someone is building the case that trading her is the right basketball decision, not a catastrophic mistake. Here's what's actually happening. The Indiana Fever have a decision to make. They can build around Caitlin Clark, which means firing Stephanie White if her system doesn't fit, restructuring the roster, and accepting that Caitlin comes with media attention and fan expectations. Or they can trade Caitlin, keep Stephanie White, maintain their preferred culture, and go back to being a mid-tier playoff team that nobody talks about. And based on everything we're seeing, they've already made their choice. Think about the sequence of events here. The Fever hire Stephanie White without consulting Caitlin. That's fine. Rookies don't get input on coaching hires. But then Caitlin gives a diplomatic answer about not being consulted, and suddenly the narrative shifts. She's difficult. She's entitled. She expects special treatment. Then the smear campaign starts. Dan Dakich calls her a problem on air. Michael Thompson says the Fever are sick of her. And now Lin Dunn appears on a panel talking about removing star players for behavioral reasons. This is how organizations operate when they've decided to move on from someone but need public opinion on their side first. Compare this to how the Fever handled Kelsey Mitchell's contract situation. Kelsey was a free agent, could have left for nothing, and the Fever bent over backward to keep her happy. They gave her the contract she wanted. They praised her professionalism. They made her feel valued. Why? Because Kelsey fits the culture they want. She doesn't come with media scrutiny. She doesn't have millions of fans demanding the team build around her. She's a great player who stays in her lane. Caitlin Clark doesn't stay in her lane. She's got opinions. She's got leverage. She's got a fan base that will follow her anywhere and will absolutely torch the Fever organization if they trade her. And that makes her dangerous to a front office that values control. Now let's talk about the LA Sparks angle, because this is where it gets really interesting. The Sparks are owned by the Dodgers ownership group. They've got money. They've got a brand new arena coming. They've got literally nothing to lose because they just finished with the worst record in franchise history. They need a star, they need attention, and they need it immediately. What would the Fever want in return? Draft picks, obviously. Young players who fit Stephanie White's system. Maybe a veteran who can help them win 25 games and stay relevant without the circus. The Sparks can offer all of that. They've got the #1 pick in the next draft. They've got young talent like Rickea Jackson. They've got the cap space to take on Caitlin's contract and still build around her. And here's the kicker. Caitlin would thrive in Los Angeles. Bigger market, better weather, more corporate partnership opportunities, and a franchise desperate enough to actually build around her properly. The Sparks would hire Corey Close, who already knows how to coach her. They'd structure the offense to maximize her strengths. They'd embrace the attention instead of resenting it. For Caitlin, it might actually be an upgrade. For the Fever, it's addition by subtraction. They get assets, they keep their preferred coach, and they go back to being a normal WNBA franchise without the pressure. But here's what the Fever are miscalculating. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the reason WNBA ratings doubled this season. She's the reason the Fever went from playing in front of 4,000 fans to selling out every arena they visited. She's the reason corporate sponsors are suddenly interested in the WNBA. Trading her doesn't just hurt the Fever. It exposes them as an organization that had lightning in a bottle and chose to pour it out. And the fans won't forgive it. The same fans who bought Fever jerseys, who traveled to road games, who made Caitlin Clark the biggest story in women's basketball, they'll follow her to LA. They'll root against Indiana. They'll make the Fever's home games feel like road games. The organization seems to think they can trade her and maintain relevance. They're wrong. Lin Dunn is planting seeds because she knows this is coming. The behavioral concerns, the culture talk, the emphasis on fit over talent, that's all groundwork. When the trade happens, the Fever will say they had no choice. They'll say Caitlin didn't fit the system. They'll say it was best for both sides, and they'll expect everyone to accept it. But we see what's happening. This isn't about basketball. This is about control. This is about an organization that would rather be comfortable than great. And Caitlin Clark, for all her talent and all her value, made them uncomfortable. So here's the question. When this trade happens, and it will happen, who's going to look worse? The Fever for trading away a generational talent because she had opinions, or Caitlin for forcing their hand by refusing to just shut up and play? Because the narrative is already being written. And based on everything we're seeing, the Fever have decided they'd rather be wrong without her than right with her. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think the Fever actually trade Caitlin Clark? And if they do, does the franchise ever recover? Because I don't think they understand what they're about to lose.